Whoa. Big reptile talk. Yeah, we working. Talking about service. Big reptile talk. When it comes to talking about snakes, yeah. Love that we got for them effects. Yeah, big reptile talk. Let's talk about reptiles. Yeah, big reptile talk. Let's talk about reptiles.
Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to the podcast. This is Big Reptile Talk. But before we get started, we got to show some love to our sponsors. Shout out to my guy Dan over at Mile High Mutations, producing some absolute heat. If you're in the market for ball pythons, go check him out. He's got some amazing animals. Shout out to Morph Ambitions, man. I love that he is producing animals, but not just that. He's producing mulch. So he's like a one-stop shop. Go get an animal from him and check out his mulch. He's doing his thing, man. Shout out to Large Marge Morse, man. He's not breeding yet, but when he does, he's going to produce some amazing animals. He's acquiring some heat low-key, so go give him some love. Of course, we got to shoot out to Canada. Shout out to my guy Mike over at MKL Exotics. He's a hognose producer. Now, if you know hognoses, man, they're beautiful snakes, so go check him out. Give him some love. I love hog noses, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to him, man. Of course, we got Fries Critters, man, showing us some love, man. He's not a breeder, but he's a big supporter of the channel. So go give him some love. Hit his Instagram. Let's get him to 1K, man. And of course, we got to show some love to Mad River Surface and Rattery. Same thing, man. They're giving you snakes and rats at the same time, and he's producing amazing animals. I mean, look at this animal. Go give him some love. Check out his Instagram. Check out his Morph Market. Shout out to You Already Know Ball Pythons. I love this brother, man. He's breeding some amazing snakes. If you know me, you know I love the Xanic Morph. So go check him out. Give him some love. Tell him I sent you. And a couple more. Matt Yates, man. Shout out to Matt Yates Reptile Company. Big supporter of the channel. He's producing some amazing animals. I mean, like, look at this. Just pure heat. Pure heat. Shout out to Ball Enhanced Pythons. Amazing guy. He's producing some quality animals. So go hit up his Instagram and Morph Market. He definitely can use some love. Now, without further ado, man, this is a podcast where we bring people on and we chat with them, see what they got going on in the hobby. And I love that we have my brother Gavin. I mean, his name, it rings bells, man. How you doing today?
How's it going, my friend? How is you?
Man, I can't complain. I'm excited to have you here, man. It's been a while since we chatted, man. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Hold on, let me put this banner on too, because like I said, this is very important. If you're not, support USARC. They fighting for us. Now I want to jump into this, man. Like, I want to talk about your name. I want to get the history behind the Balls2u name, because like a lot of people's name, when you say it makes you go like, like when you say Kabelka, it goes, When you say Ozzy, it's just like, When you say Balls2u, it's just, So like, how did you come up with that name? Where were you when you came up with that name? And where did it come from?
Bro, first of all, I'd like to thank you for having me on. I'd also like to thank everyone who's joining us tonight, showing you the love, showing me the love. Absolute love and respect you all for joining in and listening to this one. But so the name Balls2u came from literally, I've said this before, when I reached out to breeders to ask for help. I was new in the hobby. I wanted to take my collection to the next level. I wanted to start breeding. And I asked for some help. Literally, there was 6 people, roughly about 6 or 8 people I emailed, and there was only 2 people that got back to me. And one of them was a huge guy. He was known as the King. He was Ralph Davis. He was one of the guys that got back to me, along with a good friend of mine who's actually in the UK, Phil. And those 2 guys got back to me. And what then happened was, I sort of thought maybe they didn't get the email. Maybe I sent it to the wrong address, that sort of thing. So I sent them another email inquiring about an animal for sale. I thought I'd just test it And dude, literally within minutes, I got an email back saying, "Whoa, yeah, it's for sale. What, you know, it's this much, it's that much, it's doing this, it's doing that." And I thought, right, okay, so you're not interested in helping me, but you're willing to take my money. So the whole balls to you thing is an English term, an English gesture where we go balls to you. I'll learn it myself, you know. So ever since then, it was kind of like, you know, me trying to help people and people getting in the hobby. You know, it very much reminds me of me getting in the hobby, and I still get it to this day. You know, I get people reach out to me for help, and I try and answer every email, every message, just to point them in the right direction. And they say the same. They're like, you know, "Thanks, Gav. You know, you're the only one that's got back to us. We've messaged 9 other breeders, and you're the only guy that's got back to us." So the whole balls to you ethos is, you know, we will educate and help people through my mistakes, through my teaching. So
I love that. I love that, man. Like that is incredible, man. So you saying you were around when you were Ralph Davis, that was the king. He hit you up, was like, "I got you. I'll give you some information." That is incredible, man.
yeah, so that would have been around about 2004, 2005 when I sent the original emails out. Obviously, YouTube wasn't really around then, so it was all reptile forums. And I remember being a part of virtually every forum I could find, and a lot of them was obviously based in the US. So I wasn't too aware of what was going on in the UK, but I was very aware of what was going on in Canada and the US, because everything was obviously coming out of the US and out of Canada and into Europe and into the UK. So, you know, I used to sit there and watch Ralph Davis and Corey Woods go at it, you know, commenting and basically having an argument on the forum. You know, they would be typing and I'd just be sitting there with my popcorn, you know, waiting for the next one, refreshing the page, you know, waiting for the response. So so yeah, you know, good old days. But yeah, it's sort of been, the name has sort of stuck. And you know, for me, there's the whole movement of Balls to You is about helping and supporting people. And me and you both know this, that, you know, we are on different levels with different things, but I will support you because you as a person, you're a good guy, you know, and, you know, you give me equal support, and that's just the way I roll. You know, it doesn't mean we've got to agree on everything, but I can still support and represent myself, or you can support and represent yourself as well. So there's enough drama going on without
I love
everyone falling out. You know what I mean?
I love it. I love it. Shout out to Eric B, 905 Royals. He said it's nice to know his name is the big thumb in the face to those who disrespected him during his start, man. I love it. I love it. Now I want that history. You know, I've been real big on the history of breeders. So what were you doing before you started breeding ball pythons?
So obviously as a child, you know, you're sort of into reptiles and crazy things. I remember my first reptile was a corn snake, and I remember keeping it in a little tub with, you know, a tub of glass dish of water and some ivy in there and stuff. And I remember the one day I come back from school and it had got out and gone. It had just gone, but I didn't tell my mom. It had disappeared. Like, you know, I think I was about 12 or 13 at the time. And I was kind of blown away when I actually, again, round about between, I think it was 10 or 12, I remember going to my friend's house, and his dad was a breeder of colubrids. And he'd got vivariums. Obviously, it wasn't rack systems back then, but it was vivariums. And I remember walking into this outbuilding and going, wow, this is amazing, you know? So I'd always had a fascination with that sort of thing. And, you know, I'd had some lizards and some other snakes over the years. But then round about when I was 21, something like that, I met up with this guy, and his car had broke down, and I basically started repairing his car because, you know, I'm a mechanic by trade. So I started repairing his car, and he worked in a reptile shop. So he started paying me in animals. And I remember sort of going, he showed me a couple of boas. I'd had boas before, but he showed me a couple of boas, and then he showed me some ball pythons, and I was like, I just connected with him, and I just went, yeah, I'll have a ball python. And that was it then. It was like, I used to phone him up and go, Mark, does your car need repairing? You know, because I wanted to get some more snakes, you know. So I thought, if I can repair his car, you know, I was like, yeah, do you want me to repair your car? Is there anything you need doing? Brakes, you know, service, anything? Just to get some more snakes. So that was basically how I started, and then started keeping them. I remember looking in a ball python health, like sort of care book, if you like, and I remember seeing the bumblebee, and it said a little caption underneath, produced by Nerd 2003, and I went, what the hell? That's a ball python, or royal python, as I called them back then. I was like, what? That's a royal? What? That was it. I was hooked. Bang, bang, bang. Forums, internet, as much as I could try and find out. So that's where it all spanned from. And I remember keeping them for a long time. And I remember, you know, keeping them in vivariums. And then it was sort of like they were dodgy feeders. You know, they wouldn't feed. And then they'd feed like in 3 months' time or 2 weeks, and really intermittent. And I couldn't figure out how to get them feeding. And I got to the point where a lot of them I was just drop feeding and putting them on top of the houses, and then, you know, shutting the viv up and leaving them, and come back the next morning, they was gone. Anyway, I used to keep them together as well. And then it was around about 2008, I sort of doing my usual stuff, and a female looks that well. I didn't know she was a female at the time. I didn't know the sexes of any of them. But what I actually had was 1.1 in this vivarium, and in another vivarium I had 2 smaller ones. So I had one up here and one down there. That was I can't remember what sex that was, but that was on its own, and this one was on its own. But I kept 2 of them together, and I didn't know. And because they took a while to grow, obviously, you know, I didn't know there was male and female. And because I was too linked into the morphs, looking on the forums and watching people post pictures about, the first, you know, pewter, and the first this and the first that. And I had no idea that what I was doing. Anyway, I looked in, I thought, that looks a bit funny, or she looks a bit funny, or he looks a bit funny. Looked, and she was on a clutch of eggs. So yeah, that was about 2008. So literally, obviously, to say the least, I didn't know what I was doing. I failed to prepare. So I failed. And after that, I made sure that whatever I was doing now, from then on, I was going to be a breeder. I loved keeping them, but I knew I wanted to be a breeder. So from 2008, that's when I went, right, okay, I've been watching the Americans, you know, post stuff and this, that, and the other. I can actually breed this stuff, because, you know, pastels were like $6,000, Mojaves were like $4,000 or $6,000, and spiders were $6,000, and so much more money. And obviously I couldn't afford it at the time. So I just sort of sat back and watched and took in information. And like I said, I had no plans to breed. And then there was a clutch of eggs. So he was kind of dropped in my lap. So yeah, that's the history. And then that's it. That's where we're at.
That is insane. Shout out to Marcus Jane in the chat, man. That's
he's Marcus Jane. He's my he's the Obi-Wan Kenobi. I tell everyone this. If it wasn't for Mark, you know, Mark he's the Obi-Wan Kenobi for me. He's the person that he speaks knowledge. He speaks from experience, and he's just there to help people. But fantastic, and his wife, absolutely amazing. Jane, she's beautiful.
Right. Shout out to Marcus Jane, man. Now, I love that history, man. That is insane. Working on cars and getting paid in snakes, man. I love it. I love it. Your story, man. I love it. It's incredible. Now, I'm kind of curious. You know, you've been doing this for so long. Who are some of the breeders that came up with you that are still doing it today?
Well, I remember Justin getting into the hobby, or getting into the snakes. That was around about 2006, 2005, 2006, I think. God rest. And again, these are all American guys, because what you got to understand was I was learning from the American dudes and from the Canadian guys, you know, because that's all I knew. I didn't really know there was many breeders until around about 2008, 2009. That there were actually, we got fantastic breeders here in the UK. So, you know, there's a few people here in the UK, like Steve Walker's still doing it strong in the UK. People over in the US, obviously Mark and Ozzy were, for me, at that early stage around about 2000, when, I mean, they were like 2 or 3 years into it when I knew of them. And I remember watching some of the stuff. And so, yeah, so Ozzy, Mark, you know, Steve Walker over here, Scott Wilkinson over here. Yeah, those are the guys for me that are still sort of like, you know, obviously there are others, but those are the ones I can think of. Obviously, Corey Woods in Canada was still going. I didn't know Billy at the time, so yeah, Corey Woods, obviously. Who else? Oh yeah, Bob Clark. That was crazy when I was over at Arlington and Bob was there. I was like, dude, that's Bob Clark. You know what I mean? That's Bob. You know. So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And what's crazy, Derek? I'll tell you. I'll tell your audience. Actually, going and seeing them like Brad Bower. You know, again, I used to see these names on the forums. But then when you get an opportunity to meet them, they probably think I'm some sort of crazed person, you know, like who's this crazy guy? Like, and I'm there going, hey, how you doing? You okay? And they're like, who's this guy? You know, so it's crazy.
I love it, man. That's what it's about, man. Meeting everybody and just coming up with them, man. I love that. Now, you know, you've been doing this for so long. What was that first project that you did, that you produced yourself, that just really blew you away? That you were like, you know, when you were coming up, you were like, oh my God, I'm on to something. I got something here. What was that first clutch that just blew you away?
The first thing that really blew me away was just being able to produce something that got me into the hobby, which was the bumblebee. You know, those for me just was like, wow. So there was those. I produced some snows, which was Exantic albinos, and that I produced them very easily, and I quite didn't realise at the time how difficult it was to produce double recessives. And when I made them, they were beautiful, but I was a bit like, I've made them now. I don't really know what to do with them, so I'm going to move them on. The bumblebee for me was the one that sort of like very simple, but it just got me hooked. The minute I knew I could produce that same animal that I saw in that book, in that care book, I was like, I'm on something here. And then the second combo I saw that I absolutely blew me away was the Exantic clown. And I know you like Exantic stuff, like you said in your intro. So, you know, yeah, very simple things that just got me buzzing, you know. And now, like we're on some heavy stuff, which is awesome.
Right. I'm pretty basic. My favorite is Xantic and Pastel, and I love Pastel because I was doing some research on it. And I don't know if anybody in the chat knows this, but I was doing some research because I want to get some people on my show. I've been trying to get a hold of Greg Graziani.
Yeah, and Greg was the first guy that produced them.
Yes, he produced Pastel. Him and Kevin from Nerd, because I was doing some research.
He beat Kevin. I remember he beat Kevin by about a month or two. And I remember Greg talking about it on the forums and posting this stuff. And I remember him producing, he had a cinnamon, and at the time he was calling them cinnamon pastels. Was it? Yeah, cinnamon pastels he was calling them. And then when they were put together and they produced the pewter, he then realized he couldn't call the cinnamon pastel a cinnamon pastel. He had to call it a cinnamon. Yeah, so Greg's history at the early start of the ball pythons was crazy. Greg produced, I think, about 7 pastels. I remember that year. I believe he kept one. Marcus Jane had one, and Dan and Colette Sutherland, the snake keeper, I think they took the other 5 and they bred them straight into clown.
Right. Crazy, man. It was just like I said, those are my 2 favorite boys. Shout out to Nerd, shout out to Greg Graziani, man. Now, I gotta ask this, of course the markets are different, the US versus the UK.
Yep.
But here in the US, all I've been seeing is, Kabelki put out a video. Oh, here's how you survive in a ball recession. I've been seeing a lot of videos, the ball python market is gone or it's going down. So my question to you is, do you feel like it's kind of going down in the UK too? Or do you feel like what's going on with the ball python market currently in the UK? Do you feel like y'all going through a kind of recession too?
Yeah, let me advise or let me speak what normally happens. So every 5 years, and Mark, if he's watching, he could probably back me up on this. Every 5 years, we have this drop. Okay. Now, it normally, I think the last one was about 2016, 2017. It kind of drops off a little bit. And what happens is, as it drops off, because think about it like this, there's something that goes on in the world where people hold the money. Okay. So they're going, well, you know what? I've heard this is going to happen, so I'm not going to spend my money, regardless on what it is, whether it be buying a car, buying a house, buying furniture, whatever. They tend to hold the money back. So what happens is roughly every 5 years that I've seen as I've been doing this, we get this, oh, the market's crashing. And then you get all these people getting out and going, oh, the ball python market's crashing. It's this, it's that. Well, it's not. I call it resetting. Okay. And what it does, I find that we have this crazy period where it's going up and up and up. And then all of a sudden, it's like anything else. It has to reset. And it's the same with like flat screen TVs. Flat screen TVs were like $4,000, 4K. And you were like, wow. And then all of a sudden, the supermarkets are doing them, or Walmart and stuff like that. And it's like $600. You're like, wow, that's dropped. But then they bring out a new flat screen TV, which is 8K, definition, 8K definition, and that's $4,000 to buy. And then all of a sudden it goes. So it's a bit like that. It's a reset. You see people who are kind of just in it for the money, and they tend to leave. And it's sad because over the years I've seen so many people leave because of the money thing or panic. Yeah, people panic. Now, what we've seen over here in the UK is a lot of people are still spending money, but they're actually spending big money on the heavy investment projects, okay, like Sunset, Stranger, that sort of thing, heavy claim combos, double recessives. And they're not buying the lower end animals, because instead of buying 2 animals or 3 animals for that $2,000 or £2,000, they're buying 1 investment animal, because they know they've got to keep it, they've got to feed it, they've got to clean it. Takes time, takes money. So it's kind of like, again, typical 5-6 year drop that we see regular. I mean, it feels like yesterday. I remember talking to Mark over at Marcus Jane, and we were talking about this probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And we're just there, So for me, if you're doing it with passion and you're doing it for the right reasons, just stick at it. Just stick at it. If you need to not breed, so let's say, for example, you've not sold many animals this season, or you've got a lot of holdbacks from last season because nothing's really selling, then this season just cut your clutches back a little bit. Instead of doing 10, do 5. Instead of doing 5, do 3. Work with what you want to work with, and you'll go through it. You'll go through it.
I love that. So y'all heard that from the man himself. It's not a recession. It's just resetting. It's like stocks. Now's the time to get in, buy low, and then when they rise up, sell high. You know what I mean? I love it.
100%, bro.
Now, I want to have a little fun. A lot of people, they known for more. Ozzy's known for the orange. You know, Kabelka did, you know, the Batman and all kind of other stuff. You know, it's already lots of morphs out there. But I'm gonna go first, and then I want you to go. Let's just make up a morph for shits and giggles. I'm gonna go first. Let's say, you know, my morph is the orange sherbet strawberry morph. Like, I want you to just make up a morph off the top of your head right now. Go.
Mine would be something like the Hulk or Thor. You know, something very short and very powerful. You know.
I love that. I love that, man. Like the Hulk, the Thor. I love that. Now, you know, it's January. It's 2023. You know, you're killing it. You've been killing it. So I want you to give people advice. You know, for this year, how can people like level up? How can people that if they're not where they want to be in the business, how can they, you know, get further ahead in the ball python game? What's some good advice you can give people?
So what I'd sort of advise people to do is if at any point you have an opportunity to make combos which are either visually recessive or hets. So let's say you've got an orange dream yellow belly enchi female. And let's say you go, well, do you know what? I'd love to breed leopard to that. Okay, you're going to make a leopard, yellow belly, orange dream, enchi. Fantastic combo, beautiful animal. But what if you could go one step further? What if you could maybe pick up a leopard clown and now breed a leopard clown to that animal? Now you're going to make a leopard, yellow belly, OD, enchi, but everything in the clutch is going to be 100% het clown. Adding that little bit of a recessive or making it a het is only going to serve you on the next level, because what will happen is you'll make that leopard, yellow belly, enchi, OD, and you'll go, wow, what an animal. I wonder what that would look like in clown. I'm going to have to grow this female up for 2-3 years and then breed her to a clown. Whereas if you thought about it a little bit logically and gone, right, okay, I've got 4 females, I've got nothing clown, and I'm using clown as an example. It could be DG, it could be Pied, it could be Exantic, it could be Ultramale, whatever. Then maybe sell some of your animals, put that lump sum together, and go and buy what you need in a visual recessive as a male, okay? And then you could start making your own hets. A lot of people underestimate the power of hets, because if you've got het females on the shelf, the one thing that a lot of people sell are visual males, and they sell them pretty cheap. So it kind of makes sense that if you can grow up your het females or make your own het females, you know, you can pick yourself up a pretty cheap male and then put that to your animals and then make your own hets. So my advice is obviously just, you know, think about where you're going to go in the next couple of years. If you need to breed, if you want to make that leopard, yellow belly, OD, enchi, why not make it het clown or het pied or het hypo or het ultramale? You know, put a little bit of a recessive in there just to put you a little bit in front, ready for the future.
Right, I agree. I love that. Just information from the man himself. I love it. Now, you know, we love everyone. We love you, Gavin. We love Ozzy. We love JKR. But this is just for a little fun, a hot seat question. What was that one project that JKR beat you to that you're just like, shit, I wish I would have got there first?
So I remember, well, I brought a chocolate clown off Justin, and he said to me, he said he was messaging me, and he said, wait till you see the super chocolate clown. I was like, okay, well, show me a picture. He was like, no, wait till you see it. And literally that Friday he dropped the video. I think it was a Friday. He dropped the video, and I was like, holy crap. He wasn't wrong. You know, that thing was smoking. And I messaged him back, and I went, that looks amazing, but it'll look better as an Ultramale. So an Ultramale clown super chocolate, or super chocolate clown Ultramale. Yeah. Dude, the next video when he was, or the next couple of videos, he actually mentioned that combo, and I was like, I gave him the idea, you know? I was like, damn, I gave him the idea. But listen, I think the one thing I've learned is there is no, you know, Mark has made some amazing stuff. Ozzy's made some amazing stuff. You know, I get inspired by people like that. So when I see stuff that they do, I kind of see it and then I add my own twist. Yeah. The whole fun for me is just the journey to make that combo. Yeah. The combos I'm going to make between now and hitting what I really want to hit. So there's a lot of people out there, like, you know, you're working quietly with a few things and then you see someone else has already done it and you go, but that's okay, but mine's going to be better, you know? So, you know, listen, I'm just, yeah, quality over quantity definitely is what I love.
I love that motto, man. I love that motto, man. While you're here, smack that like button for the big homie Gavin. He's just killing it, man. Now, you know, this is a project over in the U.S. I wanted to get your take on it and see what you kind of thought about it. I think it's called the Super Mandarin Project. I can't pronounce his name, but shout out to Tofati Royals. He's real big, heavy into the project, man. What do you think about that morph, man? The Super Mandarin. I think that's what it's.
Dude, I'm gonna start some drama now, and most people probably won't like me for saying this, but I'm going to be true to people now. Okay,
Yes.
There's the Mandarin is good. It's good. Is it worth the investment price tag? No. And the reason being is because I don't see, there's other genes out there in the US, like the Bang. The Bang far exceeds the Mandarin, and it's a better price point. And that's from Sterling Nelson over in the US. For me, there's other projects that are in the US which are mind-blowing. Now, this is where, again, if you guys are working with Mandarin, that's fantastic. Guys, what I will say this is, whether I feel I like it or not, I think it's okay. I think there's other genes out there which you guys can work a bit more into and have, like, not many people are working with certain stuff. Like Ken Masic's got some amazing stuff that not many people are working with. You know, the Bang Sterling Nelson's got. I've currently got the Bang project here. You know, there's other stuff out there that I would advise people just to maybe leave the Mandarin alone and just go and pursue something else. And the reason being is this. I've seen people, big people, post Mandarin clones for sale, and they're not Mandarin clones. And they're asking big money, and they're selling. People are buying them. And I'm sorry if I'm upsetting anyone. I don't mean to cause drama. I'm here to guide you and advise you. Okay, just be careful what you're buying, and make sure that whatever you are buying is what it is on the tin, or that the breeder you're getting it from. You know, if you say, look, if this isn't Mandarin, is there any sort of way we can, you know, get a refund or be compensated? Because not only the Mandarin is being sold and they're not Mandarins, you can clearly see they're not Mandarins, but also there's the lace project. People are selling laces which aren't lace. Again, need to be very careful when you're working with subtle genes like that. So my advice to people is, if you're going to get into Mandarin, go to like the people who have got the best examples. Yeah, you can't mistake that for being a Mandarin. Or get a super. Yeah, speak to the breeders. If you're going to spend that sort of money, go out there and get the super form, and that way when you start hatching them, you know what you're working with. You know, like I said, it's not my place to sort of tell people what to do. It's just my place to educate people and go, look, guys, I can tell you now, on Morph Market, there is mandarin clowns that have been sold for good money, and they are not mandarin clowns.
Right.
I can see they're just there. So just be careful, guys. That's all I want to just put out there and just say, people, be careful.
Right. I love that. I love that, man. Just he's keeping us on the straight track, man, when it comes to those projects. Shout out to Will, man. Brian shouldn't be banned. I love Brian. I'm always in his chats. I don't know if he has a second channel, but he had that problem last time he tried to come into my chat. For some reason, he can't chat in here. So I love Brian. Shout out to Brian from Samson Snakeatorium. I don't know if you're in here. If you can't chat, try like your second channel or something. I don't know what's wrong with your first channel, but I'm in his chats all the time, so I don't know. Yeah. So shout out to Brian, man. Y'all make sure y'all go give him a follow, man. Shout out to Balling with Brian, man. I love his channel. I don't know if he's got a second channel, but try and comment, because like I said, he's a good dude. Man, I gotta ask, have you got the chance to check out Dave Kaufman's Ball Python movie? And if you did, what'd you think of it?
Yeah, so if you guys didn't check out my video that I did so me and Dave, first of all, I love Dave. Yeah, I see him as a good friend. He's like a big brother, the way I look at him. And I did a video saying that I wanted to punch Dave Kaufman in the face, because I did. Because his video, I thought, ball pythons in the wild was going to be him, a bit like David Attenborough. Here we are in the African plains. As you can see, a ball python has just left its burrow and is in search of a female. Something like that. And it was a little bit, but it kind of wasn't. So there was a lot of stuff there that I felt that, and listen, Dave went to so much hard work to film that and get that out there, that I respect him and his team for doing that. But there was also there was some good information and some misinformation. So the first thing was the African soft-furred rats. There's 6 species of African soft-furred rats in Africa. One species is found in Central Africa, which is what the ball pythons eat. Okay, facts, right? The African soft-furred rat we have is a lab-grown African soft-furred rat, because that other species, it's like a mixture of multiple ASFs, so a mixture of 5. It's a hybrid ASF basically that we have in captivity. Okay, but it's an ASF, and this is something that more and more people, and I can tell you now, there is so many breeders in the US under the radar which aren't telling people, who are feeding ASFs. Okay, and they are keeping it to themselves. And this is going back to the Balls2u thing. I've been talking about ASFs for years and years, and how much better the animals are, how much stronger they are, how much muscle mass, quality muscle mass they produce, better colors, better health, not necessarily grow faster, but grow more healthier. And also they don't defecate as much, and it doesn't smell as bad. It's good for them. You can clearly see that. Now, in Dave's video, it was kind of put across that they don't eat ASFs, when in actual fact, when I spoke to him at Tinley, he kind of said, yeah, there's they do, in so many words. I did a video on it with me and Dave. I thanked him for doing it, like I said, but for me, it was just slightly not what. It's the best thing we've got as a video of ball pythons in the wild, but not what we expected, if that makes sense.
I love it. Everybody has their opinion. I love that opinion, man. Now, shout out to Eric's Exotics. He wanted me to ask you a question.
Cool.
I believe you want to ask you, can you give him tips on, I don't know if he's still in the chat. Comment your question. It was something about shipping snakes to the U.S. What was your question, Eric? If you're still, I'll see if he'll post it again. But we'll keep going. while you're here, man, like I'm such a big fan, man, and I want you to, give us a balls to you story that no one knows.
Boy, that's interesting. What type of balls to you story do you want?
Any kind of crazy.
Do you want the time? Do you want? I'll tell you a balls to you story, and it's to do with Miguel from Always Evolving Pythons. So you'll probably like this. Well, there's a couple. So I was linking in with Joe from State 48 Exotics, Brian Cusco, Dave Kaufman, Miguel, obviously Always Evolving Pythons, and Miguel was kind of, he was out and about doing his thing. Anyway, I said, right, guys, I'm coming over to Tinley, 2018. So I'm coming over. Miguel was like, yeah, I'll hook you up. Don't worry about it. Get to the airport. We got you covered. I was like, brilliant. Gets to the airport. Now, bear in mind, I hadn't booked a hotel. I didn't know where I was or where I was going. Literally, I just got on a plane, landed in Chicago. And I messaged Miguel. I said, dude, I'm here. Where are you? He went, oh, dude, we're coming out tomorrow. I was like, bro, you said to me for me to come this day, you will be here. And now you're telling me you're coming out tomorrow. And you said, yeah, just grab yourself a hotel. We'll link up tomorrow. I was like, bro, I didn't even know if my Uber app would work in the US. So I was like, what the hell am I going to do here? So I was like, okay, fair enough. So I managed to find like a cheap B&B, not far, sort of in between sort of the airport and Tinley itself. And I got that one night. Chris Graham, I don't know if you guys know Chris Graham. He's kind of gone a bit away from the reptiles now, and he's doing a lot of fitness stuff. Again, fantastic guy. He was like, Gav, on that night, he was like, Gav, I'll come and pick you up and we'll go for some food. I was like, Chris, that'd be amazing. So Chris Graham, come and pick me up. We went to a proper TGI Fridays, which over here is very commercialized, where over in your place, it's a proper bar. It's a proper thing, And we went to a TGI's, and it was great, and that same time, so we were at the auction, the show on the Saturday night, and of course I'm at Miguel's table. We're all there, we're all drinking, having a laugh, and Miguel goes, so this golden child, this phantom golden child reticulated python come up for auction. And Miguel was like, Gav, you should bid on that. And I went, yeah, I'll bid on it. So I won it. Yeah. Brought the snake to my table, paid for it. I was like, wow, look at this. And then I was like, how am I going to get this home? Like, I've just brought a mainland reticulated python. How am I going to get this home? Like, what do I do here? And I said to Miguel, Miguel, why did you tell me to bid on this? And he went, I thought it'd be a good idea. I was like, dude, what am I going to do? And he said, look, just send it back to my house, because we went to Shipley Reptiles table, I think it was at the time, and literally I just shipped it with some of Miguel's stuff back to his place. And he still has it to this day, I think, unless he's sold it. If he sold it, he better have donated the money to charity. But yeah, I think he's still got it. So I do own a reticulated python, a phantom golden child, somewhere in the US.
That is hilarious, man. I love it. Shout out to Eric B. Exotics, man. He said he was curious on the process of who you contact to import or export to states or other countries.
Okay, so the best people I would recommend, there's a few people. There's DDI in Europe, which is Dutch Dragon Imports. They tend to fly, import, and export all around the world. You've got Michael Cole in the US. He's a very big into importing, exporting as well. So Michael Cole and probably Dutch Dragon Imports are the people that I would recommend speaking to about moving animals around the world.
All right, there you go, Eric. You heard it from the man himself, man. Now, we were just talking about, ASFs and rats. Um, a lot of people don't touch on this, and I think that it's important. What do you think the best diet is for your feeders? What do you feed your feeders? Is it
So
just like
I feed mine my feeders sail rolls, which are, I don't know if you guys know what sail rolls are, but what they are, they're a food that's specially blended for pigs, female pigs, sows. Okay, and what this food is specially blended and made because those female pigs it's given for them. It's got good protein or high protein, high fats, which helps them sort of through the birthing and the feeding of the young pigs. Okay, and they absolutely smash it. Like, they love it. We also use we can use like working dog dry food, but me personally, I find the sail roll tends to work the best. But that's my opinion.
I love that.
Again, with ASFs, I don't know if you guys get, the like the suet balls for the birds, like the fat balls for the
I
birds,
think
you put on the bird feeders. Okay, you can get them with obviously like seeds in, which is really good, and you can also get them with mealworms. Now, ASFs love mealworms and cockroaches, love them. And what you can do, you can give them as a bit of a treat to bulk them up a little bit because they're quite high in protein. Dude, they'll sit there munching on a cockroach or like this. They love it. So you can get them fat balls with the insects in, which is extra protein, and give them to, put them in the hopper so that gives them something to do during the winter.
Right, right. I love that. I love that. Now, I want to talk about new breeders. I think that you're so amazing. When it comes to sharing information, and I think that now in this day and age, do you think the bigger breeders are quick to share information to the new breeders because they want new breeders to succeed because they are buying the snakes from y'all? Those investment products. Why do y'all think the bigger breeders are they're so open with the information now to the new breeders?
So the one thing, and you've hit the nail on the head, a lot of the bigger breeders now have realized that actually, if we help people, it benefits us. Yeah. So if they help people, it benefits them because guess what? They've kind of got a customer already lined up for animals. Okay. There's people like, again, Marcus Jane, Ozzy, those guys would help me before I even brought an animal. They would always offer help. Now, reality is they're in a different country. Reality is I probably would never buy from them. So, like, Mark is in Canada. It's so hard to get animals from Canada to me. Aussie, I've had some stuff off Aussie, but again, it's not an easy process. So those guys were helping me before I was who I was, if that makes sense. There are breeders out there, some of the big breeders, who wouldn't help me or just ignored my email, but now they're actually putting out information. The information is obviously better than what they was sharing in the beginning. So they wasn't sharing much information in the beginning, and now they're putting information out there to help people, which is fantastic because it's not about now. The whole industry has changed in a sense of we now know if we can educate people, we can help people progress and learn and grow, which is only going to help our hobby or our industry. So I think there's a lot of people out there who are sharing information because they see that actually sharing the information is going to help them, through another route. You know, instead of keeping it to the quiet, they're helping people because they know they're probably going to come back and buy animals off them.
Right. I love that. I love that. Now, you know, being a big time breeder like yourself, I want you to educate people, the breeders specifically. How can breeders protect themselves from problem customers?
So the one thing I'm a big advocate of is going through the right channels. And, you know, I've supported Morph Market from the day one. I was a massive supporter of John Lehman and the team. And when we launched it over here in the UK, for me, it was a no-brainer. You know, for me, you want to keep all your sales on one page. So if someone messages you on Instagram about a snake, ask them if they can message you on Morph Market about that snake. Okay. And the reason for that is because if you keep it all in one place, okay, first of all, you know where everything is. Second of all is keep it to messages, because that way, then if they say something or you say something, it's there in black and white. You've got a paper trail. Okay. And if you keep it on Morph Market and you're getting abused or you're getting messed around, you can report it to John and the team and they will look into it. So, guys, if you are starting to breed and you know, try to avoid putting animals for sale on like Facebook or your little groups or your forums or wherever, try and keep it to Morph Market, because that way it's all in one place. That's exactly what it's for. And if anything goes sideways, you can pretty much call up John and the team and go, guys, this guy's messing us around. I think he's a messer. He's causing problems. Can you help me? And they will, I wouldn't say they mediate, but they can pretty much look at the guy and go, do you know what? He looks like a false person, or he's not right. You know, something doesn't add up, and they can ban him or do something with you and back you up, basically. So, you know, I always advise people, you know, get a deposit for an animal and make sure that people understand, you know, look, that's a non-refundable deposit. Because the minute I take this snake off sale and people are messaging me going, Gav, is that snake still for sale? And I go, no, it's sold. And then you come back to me and go, sorry, mate, I can't get the snake, or I can't afford it, or I've asked my wife and she said I can't have it. Dude, you should have checked that before you put the deposit down, you know? So because you've wasted my time because you didn't check with your other half that you can have the snake, that deposit's gone, you know, that non-refundable deposit. So just keep that in mind, you know?
I love that. Mr. Balls2u is giving us that knowledge. This smoke detector pissing me off. I'm sorry about that. Now I want to have a little fun. Here's a couple hot seat questions. So I don't want to pry too much into your personal life. I don't know if you have a missus or a significant other. So I'll just ask, you know, your family. What's the best reptile related gift your family has ever got you?
That's a good one.
And if they haven't got you something, you got to disown them.
Do you know what? They have probably not got me anything that I can think of, but they have contributed to the cause, if that makes sense. You know, so like, let's say they've gone, oh, what do you want for Christmas? And I've gone, there's nothing I really need, but there's a snake. Okay, so do you want money? Yeah, I'll have money. So, you know, you have the money to buy that snake, that sort of thing.
Okay, I'll accept that. If they shot you a little money for some snakes, I'll take that. Now, yeah, just having a little fun for shits and giggles. And I don't want you to talk about your money. That's too personal. But just for shits and giggles, when you started breeding ball pythons, what was the first thing you bought yourself after you made a profit? What was the first thing you went out and said, you know what, I'm making money, I'm going to get that?
So here's a bit of a story. So I remember my first year that I made my first profit, and it was £500 or $500, whatever. Okay. It was £500, and I was sat down. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was sat in the living room, and my partner at the time, she came in and she went, "Gav, the fridge freezer's just packed in." Now, at this point, I'd gone through all my investments. I'd gone through all my feeding for the year, and I knew the last snake that gone out the door, that was the profit. And she went, "The fridge freezer's just packed in." I went, "What?" She went, "Yeah, it's gone." And obviously, with it being a family, you know, and I was like, right, okay. And I got £500 in my pocket, and it was like burning a hole in my pocket. And I just pulled it out and I went, "There you go." And she went, "What was that?" And I went, "That's the profit I've made this year. You know, the family needs a fridge freezer, so go and buy a fridge freezer." So I know it's not indirectly for me, but what I do when I buy snakes, that's for me, if that makes sense, you know. So my passion is that I can go out, I can afford to purchase the animals that I never thought I'd be ever working with, like Sunset, Stranger, you know. Those things were like, they were the dream animal, you know. So the fact that I now have the ability to reinvest in my collection is what it's done for me. Yeah, that's it. That's where my passion is. Like, if you went to me, "Gav, you know, there's this, I don't know, this Armani T-shirt, and it's like $200," I'll be like, "Nah, you're right. I'll just go to Walmart and just get a cheap T-shirt or something." You know what I mean? I'm just like, I like my stuff. Don't get me wrong. I like to, like, I wear my boss stuff when I go out, but you know, I prefer to put my money back into my collection, if that makes sense.
Love that. I love that. That's very smart, man. I love that you know your freezer running, took care of your family, and even still, like to this day, to be able to say, you know what, I got the Stranger, I got this Sunset. That's just amazing, man. I love it, man. Now,
The one thing I do, sorry, the one thing I do every year as well. So because I'm in a position that I can upgrade my collection as and when I need to, and I can take care of my family even now. You know, I can do stuff for the family because of what I do. I also give to charity as well, so I will donate to charity as well. So yeah, I'm a big believer in doing that as well.
I love that, man. Major flex, man. Now, you know, you've done so much in this hobby. You know, you've accomplished a lot of your goals, man. So to ask this, it's almost like, what else can you do? And I'm saying, you know, what are your 2023 goals, man? What is there still left for you to accomplish?
Oh, there's a lot still left, and there's a lot coming, bro. There's a hell of a lot coming. We have some stuff going on. So I've just launched our own show. So we've launched a breeders club. Over here, the rules and stuff are slightly different. So for hosting shows, yeah. Over here, we only really have one show, and it's becoming very political. So we have just launched our first breeders club meeting, we had our first show in November last year. And dude, it was amazing to see the members of the community together. And everywhere I looked, I stood back and I just looked, and everyone was laughing, talking, chatting, smiling. And I was like, this is amazing. So the whole thing, for me, my ambition, my goals will never cease. So like we've got our second breeders meeting coming up in May, which, you know, the feedback we had from the first breeders meeting was fantastic. So this one hopefully will be better. So for me, the fun never stops. You know, it's like there's always something we can do to improve the hobby, improve the community, improve our industry. You know, why make it selfish? Why make it all about you? Why not just, you know? And now Balls2u is a movement. It's not me anymore. it's a movement. I've got a massive team behind me. We've got a fantastic community in the Patreon that we say, you know, we're building a trusted community, and that's what it's about. You know, I want to put the UK on the map. I want to help people in the UK and around the world, but obviously I can reach out and touch more people here in the UK, you know. So for me, it's about pushing them boundaries, showing people that we can do more for our community, our hobby, our industry.
I love that, man. Right now, how I'm feeling right now, Gavin for president.
Well, I don't know about that, but yeah, I'd probably step into that role. I don't know if I'd do very good, but I'd try.
One thing I love about you, man, is every time I look up, you're not shining the spotlight on yourself. You shine it on somebody else. Like every time I look up, it's hey, you guys, check out Viper Breeding. Look at them. Check out Balls2u. I don't know if that's your company or somebody else's, but it's like
so for me. No. So Balls2u is a rodent supplier here in the UK. Viper Bedding is a brand, a bedding brand. So here in the UK, we struggle a lot for equipment, quality products. And so I'm a massive advocate of quality shines through. And if I'm not going to use that product, but I'm going to, let's say, endorse it, why am I not using it? You know, so every product I get people say, Gav, we've got this. Would you try it? Yeah, I'll try it. If it's no good, I won't use it. I've got a sensor these guys want me to test. Yeah. If it's no good, I'm not going to use it. So what I'm saying is I want the UK to have quality products. I want us to have you guys in the US and Canada, you guys have got like, you got your ARS racks, you got Freedom Breeder, you got Sea Serpents, you got so many rack companies out there, you've got so many rodent companies out there. So for me, I want to guide people to the right products. Yeah. So it's not about me, it's about supporting your local, I say local, your team. So like Balls2u, Viper Bedding, you know, LP racks. It's about putting quality products for people out there in the hobby. So it's definitely not about me. You know, we've started doing on Patreon, Meet the Breeder. So what we do on the Patreon, we are now bringing in like the breeders who are in the Patreon. We do a live with them. We've just done our first one. So people get to see them. People get to learn who they are, you know, and what they're doing and what this and that and the other. It's not about me. It's about everyone else, you know?
Y'all hear that? Gavin pushing. That's one thing I go to his Instagram. He pushing he never be like, check out Balls2u. Every time I look at it, be like Viper Bedding, Balls2u. It'd be different companies. And I'd be like, this man pushing everybody but himself. Selfless, humble, Gavin for president.
I'll take that. I'll take that, bro. I'll take it.
I love it, man. Now, I got a couple more questions, but I'm not going to keep you too long because I want to, you know, down the road get another round, man. This was super fun. Now, talk about, you know, what do you think is the most overrated morph? Well, you kind of already said, I don't know if that's what you think is the most overrated, but what do you think is the most overrated morph? And what do you think is the most underrated morph?
So that's pretty easy. The most overrated morph I feel is Mandarin. That's my opinion. Yeah. The most underrated gene is Spectre. Spectre for me has been so under the radar. You know, you can do so much with it and there's not much being done with it. So Spectre is the most underrated morph for me, I feel. If you want a real underground investment, underrated gene or project, that would be the Bang project. Guys, trust me when I say this, because the Bang project is going places. There's a lot of breeders in the US who are working with the Bang. And I'm telling you now, before they release stuff and before I release stuff, if you guys want to get an investment, get over to Sterling Nelson's Morph Market, hit him up, tell him I've sent you and look at the Bang project. I can't say enough about it to people. But yeah, those are my answers, bro.
That is exciting, man. So y'all heard it. Underrated Spectre Morph, Bang project. Look into those projects. You heard it first right here. Big Reptile Talk, man. Now, the last question, and then I'm gonna let you go, man. This was such an amazing hour. When it comes to ball pythons, I want people to be able to come here, have fun, and learn. So can you tell us what's been the hardest part breeding for you, and what's been the easiest part breeding?
The hardest part is understanding that we're dealing with animals, and that, things go wrong. Okay, you can have the most amazing animal, and either that animal doesn't breed, or it dies, or it gets a respiratory, or it gets an infection, or something happens where it gets a tumor. And that's the hard part, that you've got to put your big boy pants on and go, do you know what? It is what it is. I have to deal with it. I've just got to deal with it. Whatever I need to do, I need to do. And I need to move on. I can't let it destroy me, or I can't let myself get too hung up on it. That's the hardest thing, because, I've been doing this for a number of years now. And I remember my first animal dying. And I remember sending Ralph Davis an email and saying, Ralph, does this happen? He was like, Gav, this happens a lot. And I was like, wow. Because it hit me hard, because it was the first, snake I had die on my watch. I felt responsible. But then the more you go on, the more you realize that, listen, we don't know what's going on inside these animals. We don't know what's actually happening. All I can do is do the best that I can do. Give them quality husbandry, quality food, and look after them as best as I can. So the hardest thing is seeing one of your animals die and having to deal with that. The easiest part, or the best part, is when you see those little heads sticking out, those eggs, and you're like, holy crap, what the hell is that? And it just, bro, even to this day, just hatching babies. And again, I've picked up a pair of dwarf Burms. I'm looking to breed some dwarf Burm stuff. I'm looking hopefully to make some hybrid Burm. I've got a mainland hypo Burm. I'm sort of looking to do a bit of a pet project for me, a hybrid project with the ball python and the Burm. Dude, I just love that aspect. The fact that we can create these amazing, beautiful morphs and combos, and just be like genetic engineers. We can be genetic engineers. We can make these things, and just, that's the best part of it.
I love it, man. Mr. Gavin, you're killing it. You are a industry leader for a reason, man. I just got to say, I'm humbled that you were able to give me an hour of your time, man, because you have so many people asking for your time. And I wouldn't even be mad at charge for it. You know what I'm saying? So first off, just thank you for coming on here and talking to the people in my chat, man. I appreciate you for giving us an hour, and down the road, I'd love to chat again, man, because I have so many more questions. It's like, I want to keep going, but it's like, no, I want another episode. You know what I mean?
Listen, look, I respect you as a person, Derek. You know that. We've always spoken, and I think, you're a genuinely good guy. I've seen people post stuff in the chat. You're smashing on YouTube. You've got some fantastic guests on, including myself. And I'd love to do another one with you. I know Will's just asked a quick question. I've got the incubator here. I'm going to be doing a part 2. Now, I don't have a sea serpents incubator nor a Cornell's World one, but I've seen Chris's incubators, and they are good. They're great. They are made in the USA. Fantastic. Mike Wilbanks' incubators are different, because they also have that cooling effect. So you guys stay tuned to my YouTube. The first clutch of eggs are going to go in there, and we're going to follow the process and watch it every step of the way. And you guys will get a no BS answer from me.
I love that, man. Mr. Gavin, thank you again so much for coming on here. I appreciate it. I'm going to let you go, because I know, man, thank you again so much, man.
Thanks, guys, and thanks for all your audience, and thanks for everyone for tuning in. I really do respect and love and respect you all, guys. Take care.
I love you, brother. Man, what a freaking awesome live. That's Gavin from Balls2u. Industry leader for a reason. Such a great guy, such a humble guy. Like Gavin for president. Shout out to Serpentine. Shout out Wayne and Alice. Great lives. He said they said we love to learn when Gavin's on the show. Shout out to Marino from You Already Know Ball Pythons. He said it's a great live. Well, shout out to him. Great. Nice podcast. Thumbs up. Shout out to everybody that came through, man. That's what it's about, man. Bringing people to the platform and learning from them. I had so many more questions, but it's like, I don't want to ask them. I want another episode. You know what I mean? So shout out to Gavin, man. I'm getting ready to post this. Much love to him, man. He's just such a great guy. Until next time, man, this is Big Reptile Talk. And of course, before we get out of here, you know what we got to do. You make sure you check out Mile High Mutations, producing some absolutely amazing snakes. Shout out to Morphed Ambitions, man, just producing quality stuff. And not just that, he has mulch. Shout out to Large March Morse, man, getting ready to be producing some amazing stuff. Shout out to my guy MKL Exotics out there. I believe he's in Canada, producing some amazing hog noses. Who wouldn't want that in their collection, man? Like, hog noses are beautiful snakes. Shout out to Fries Critters, man. Such an amazing supporter of the hobby. Get over to his Instagram. Smack that follow button to give him some love on Instagram. Shout out to Mad River Surfings and Rattery. They got snakes and rats. What more can you ask for? Amazing snakes. You already know Ball Pythons was in the chat. He produces amazing stuff. I mean, look at this clutch right here. It's freaking exantic. Like that's my favorite. What more could you ask for? Shout out to Matt Yates Reptile Company, producing amazing snakes. Like, look at that snake right there. We're gonna pause on that snake. Look at this heat, man. It's so many amazing breeders out there, and that's what I want to do. Just put your eyes on them. So make sure you go give his Instagram and Morph Market some love. And last but not least, shout out to Ball Enhanced Pythons. Hit up his Instagram, hit up his Morph Market. Check him out, give him some love. Until next time, man, this is Big Reptile Talk. I'm out of here, man. Y'all stay tuned for the next guest, man. I love all y'all. Thank y'all for showing up and hitting that like button. I appreciate you. Gavin is an amazing breeder. The knowledge he shares with anyone, I couldn't agree with you more, man. Shout out to Guapa May. I love you. She said she's going to buy a corn snake. Until next time, man, this is Big Reptile Talk. I got to get out of here. Peace.